The fire of a barbecue pit sends the smell of burgers and beans into the warm evening air of western Kentucky as voters from across the political spectrum gather for an election year tradition, the red, white, and blue picnic.
Some people didn't like the design of the event center.
This is a way that we bring the candidates out, let them meet the people, good old-fashioned stump speeching. That's what it's all about.
Jody Wassmer is president of the Owensboro Chamber of Commerce, which sponsors the picnic.
It's a very conservative Democrat state, and the Republicans have made a lot of inroads here in recent years.
One such Republican is U.S. Senate candidate Rand Paul.
Now, some would say, now Rand Paul, he's extreme.
Paul has tapped into voter anger over expanded health care coverage, as well as automotive and bank industry bailouts. He has the support of Kentucky's Tea Party, which would like to see lower taxes and smaller government, something Paul supports.
Out of the way. Government's not the solution. Government needs to get out of the way to let private business thrive. Private business and industry is the solution.
Paul's primary election victory in May, fueled by the endorsement of former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin, reinforced the power of the Tea Party movement. Across the country, Tea Party-backed candidates such as Christine O'Donnell in Delaware, Joe Miller in Alaska, and Sharon Engel in Nevada have toppled other, more established Republican candidates. But their victories have now raised the question of whether or not they appeal to a broader voter base in the general election.
The Tea Party movement has, at this point, quite substantial disdain for the Democrats. It has almost equal disdain for the Republicans.
Douglas Schoen and Scott Rasmussen are the authors of the book Mad as Hell, How the Tea Party Movement is Fundamentally Remaking Our Two-Party System. They see the influence of the Tea Party carrying into the November elections.
But I think it'll be a pretty big victory this November, is largely, if not entirely, being driven by a Tea Party movement, a movement that really 18, 19, 20 months ago, 2 years ago this time, certainly 2 years ago when President Obama was running, there wasn't a person in the world, certainly not in this town, who was ever thinking that any movement like the Tea Party could come into existence, much less have the impact that it has. In
the Kentucky Senate race, Rand Paul is tied with his Democratic challenger, Jack Conway, according to a September 10th CNN Time magazine poll. While Conway did not appear at the Owensboro Red, White, and Blue picnic, his supporters tried to paint Paul as an extremist candidate, unable to most effectively represent Kentucky's electorate.
In fact, his extreme, out-of-touch positions hurt Kentucky families.
But Jody Wassmer thinks Paul's support of business and his opposition to environmental legislation known as cap and trade may give him the edge in November.
This is coal country. We have a lot of low-cost coal-powered power plants, and cap and trade is aimed squarely at those plants. Businesses who are struggling through this economy don't want to see their power rates go up. That's an issue that Rand Paul comes down very well on.
Jack Conway and Rand Paul have agreed to 3 debates throughout October, which will give each of the candidates a chance to further reach out to voters in the weeks leading up to the November 2nd general election. Kane Faribault, VOA News, Owensboro, Kentucky.